And this movie definitely made me want to get back into my fit shape and my running shape all day long. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a brand new movie review. Today I'm going to be discussing Brittany Runs a Marathon. This stars Jillian Bell as a woman living in New York who decides to take control of her life one block at a time and decides to really change her life. Now, this is a brand new dramedy produced and distributed from Amazon Studios, which Amazon has been doing such a wonderful job when it comes to their independent films, whether it's Late Night earlier this year or back half of last year's Beautiful Boy. They always grab these really great films that do need our support and that we definitely should be supporting. And Brittany Runs a Marathon, there's no shortage of greatness in this movie. This is a very inspirational movie, and that's probably the key word that you can definitely say for this, and it's just because I got attached to this movie because I did feel a little bit relating to it. Back in high school, I was in cross country and track, and I have like tons of these medals, and I wanted to wear my favorite one that I got because I placed like third in this race, and this was like one of the hardest races in Arizona. But it's very inspirational for me because it makes me want to go back out there and run. And one of my favorite lines in this whole thing is she talks to a runner and she asks, well, what's the point of running a marathon if you know you're not going to win? And he says, it's just for so you finished it. And what my mindset always in track and cross country was, I just want to be the best. I want to be the number one, and every time I won it, I would beat myself down. And I think a lot of us do that same thing inside our lives today when I'm doing YouTube. If I don't have the most views, sometimes I beat myself down. I'm like, damn, this should have done better. Why are other people's videos doing better? But instead, we should be looking at ourselves, and it makes me look back at my races, and it makes me look back now, and even on stuff that I'm doing nowadays, and it says, I'm just doing it, and I'm succeeding that way, and that's the stuff that I should be looking at. And especially from those races, when I should just be appreciated that I finished it, because those are hard, and running is tough, especially if you're doing those marathons or those races. When you get a cramp, when you get an ache, when you get any of that stuff, when you've been training and you get hurt, it is one of the most disappointing things that you can possibly do. And Brittany Runs a Marathon really dives into that and really raises those inspirational levels and really those heartwarming levels that I think really, if you're one of those people who are like, man, I really want to get in shape, but I don't know how to, blah, 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 see this movie. 100% this movie will inspire you to go running the next day, because definitely that's what I want to do now. I want to get in better shape. I want to get back to that shape that I was at, and I don't want to beat myself down. And I think that's how we should all look at ourselves, because I really love the message for this, is showing and being yourself by running and just doing what you want to do. Cross that finish line, set little goals, and do you. Pushing aside that inspirational little honest-to-God moment that I want to give you guys, Brittany Runs a Marathon is a very good movie that features great performances, a very inspirational story, and a really good directorial debut with inside here. The thing about this movie is, while I do have issues with some of the characters and how they are written, whether it's the side characters who I don't think they're pretty surface level when it comes to them, they do kind of dive into certain aspects of their lives, but they never go too deep to the point where you're like, oh, I can kind of get this person. It's just on the outer level, and I didn't think they spent enough time with each and every one of them. The other thing is also Brittany. While I think Jillian Bell gives a fantastic performance in here, she's always been known to be a hilarious person, and jumping into the foray as being the main protagonist in this movie was, it's a hard step, and I think she did hit the notes. It's when it comes down to the writing of her character, though. While she's hilarious, and while she gets all the dramatic moments down really well done, of course, on her journey to really just perfect her life better is, again, the most inspirational part about this film, and really seeing it on the big screen and seeing it over time is very great. There are some things about her character that are very dislikable, and I know they did it on purpose. I know they wanted you to do it, and I know what they wanted you to feel. I just felt like it was a little bit too cringy and sometimes a little bit too harsh, that it was hard for me to even jump back on her character. One instance, perhaps, after she's kind of fixed her lives, it kind of hits that predictable moment where she's going to hit that bump in the road. And that bump in the road part I thought was a little bit too much, that by the end I was kind of sitting there, it kind of took me out to the point where I didn't really care where her story was going. That might just be me, personally, but just to be honest, I think some people will have some bigger issues with that than I did. Again, there's no taking away from what Jillian Bell had done with inside this film. She is so damn good in this that I cannot wait to see what she does next within a film, and I actually hope she takes more down these dramatic routes and doesn't just keep doing the comedy, because I've always seen her play the same exact character, and while she is kind of playing that character, it's a little bit more toned back, and I think she plays it to a teeth, to the point where she is actually playing a character and playing someone who feels real and not just like a cartoon character. All that is because of Paul Colaizzo's directing and writing. amazing. While I might have had issues with some of the characters and the writing, when it came down to the actual script and the dialogue and everything that kind of came about with the character arcs, it was phenomenal. And the direction in here is really eye-popping, especially the cinematography. There's a lot of nice editing that they did inside this film that really caught my attention and brightened the screen to the point where I was like, I can really get on board with this. Before I give you guys my final thoughts on this movie, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you guys are new here, because I do tons of early movie reviews like this on a daily basis. Plus, I do talk about all sorts of geeky content, and you guys can also head over to Sam Sean Films down below on how to see films early. But of course, before we get further, thank you guys so much, and thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without them, I wouldn't be able to do this. Brittany Runs a Marathon is one of the most inspirational movies I've seen this year. It really inspired me to kind of get off my ass and go do something. Set out your goals, set out those tiny goals, and go and do them. You want to get better, you want to get more fit, then do it. The only person ever stopping you is yourself. And I think this movie really strikes that to the teeth. You can never really actually blame other people. And if you do try to blame other people, you're really just harming yourself. There's a great message in here about bettering yourself and also just about insecurities in general. And I think Jillian Bell played it to a teeth. She was so wonderful in here. The whole side cast in here, while a little bit underdeveloped on the writing side, they were all doing their part and they all did a great job and really surrounded themselves around Jillian Bell's character. With an hour and 45-minute movie, this could have been a little bit chopped up, maybe 10 minutes, maybe an hour and a half, but still a solid movie that I can definitely recommend, especially if you're looking to get a little bit inspiration in your life. So with all that said, I'm going to give Brittany Runs a Marathon a B+. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on this film. Did you guys like it? Did you hate it? Let's talk about it down below in the comments. Thank you guys again so much for watching this. Hit that like and subscribe button. Check out Sam Sean Films. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, and until next time, stay classy.